Good afternoon, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Happy Monday. It is April 15th, and we felt really called to share some more things with you today. So we thank you for your time, and we're excited to help you live the rest of your week consciously. Today we wanted to talk about what it means to live authentically amidst transitional times. So as we know, life is always shifting and changing, right? But right now, kind of what we talked about yesterday was that there's a lot going on. And how can we stay rooted in our authentic presence amidst all of that? So you think about, people kind of putting on a face for social media, or, when they go out in public, but really they get home and they just feel low, they feel dark, or they feel whatever that they're not willing to express to the world. So how can we take that medicine and live authentically through it? Even if we're not feeling great, how can we show up for ourselves and show up for our community in the ways that we need to? So Dawn is going to pull a question to kind of start for us today. This deck is called the Fearlessly Authentic. Beautiful. So happiness. Where does my happiness lie? I hope you guys can see that, but it's a yellow rose. So where does my happiness lie? And your happiness is something that nobody can take away from you. And that might seem radical, right? Well, I was, heartbroken or backstabbed or abused even. Your ability to remain in a joyful state throughout suffering is a really beautiful lesson that you can learn and that you can move through. Do you have anything to say about that?
I think, when we're in an ascension like we are right now, I think that's when we get the greatest challenges ever. I think that's when we really can shine through all of our traumas and all of our things that we've experienced in our life that just didn't serve us in the highest best. As we progress through the coming months, you're going to see yourself transform, change, already down to the cellular level. You're already a different person through the ways of this ascension. Last year was Lionsgate portal, and when we crossed through that, that's when the transformation started to happen. And so moving towards our portal of the year, which is April 28th, I believe, is the next portal. That actually, I think it's pretty close to Mercury retrograde as well, starting that. So there's going to be this super heightened energy. And this morning, Jaelyn and I had a conversation about authenticity. How do you stay authentic in this space when you're going through all these emotional pulls coming left and right, and people are saying this and other people are doing this, and you're getting caught up in all of the worldly stuff. And so when that happens to you, sometimes we tend to go back into those old patterns. We tend to do the things that we used to do, and then as we're doing it, we're in observance of ourselves going, wait, why did I do that again? Because that seems to be the topic lately. The patterning is like, I know that this isn't correct for me, but I continue to do this. So really being in awareness this week as to those patterns and really moving through them. Journal, talk to somebody, confide in someone. Sometimes when you just address something that really needs improving in your life, just that awareness is what really starts the ball moving towards changing and becoming a different person. And I think that's one of those things that we have to stick to our guns when it comes to ourselves. This world tries to make us become someone else, or, we've been taught that we're someone else. And Jaelyn and I are like, you know what, you're you. You are authentic. You are unique. There's nothing wrong with you, even if you have some silly little quirky things like a silly laugh or some weird body movements, or maybe you just have some weird tick that bothers people. You need to really support the fact that that's who you are, okay? And that is something very special. And so we discredit ourselves a lot by thinking like, oh, that person has a little tick. Maybe there's something up with them. Well, maybe that's the very thing that makes you magnificent. And so we say, go into that space. Don't be scared to be your authentic person. A mentor of mine, I was sharing this story the other day with Jaelyn about one of my mentors, and they said that they had gone to a speaking engagement, and there was this monk that they went to go see that was very revered by a lot of people. And as they came in, they said, geez, this person has a hyena laugh. And why are, they getting so much recognition for who they are when they act very weird in their behavior? And I asked him, like, why did you feel that way about this guy? And he said, because it wasn't really clear about the space of authenticity. And I think that that's what really opened the door for my mentor to see that even those very things that we find peculiar, actually the masses tend to like. And that's that uniqueness. That's that authentic, I say, the authentic self that gets to shine bright in its truth. And because my mentor gave me that story, it just really speaks a lot to the fact that we shun all those pretty parts of ourselves, and we just don't let them shine.
And it's really our power. It's our offering, For example, I have a tendency to giggle and laugh at very inopportune moments. It's
uncomfortable.
So, even when I'm expressing something that might be hard, I notice myself kind of like smiling or giggling, and I have to tell people, this isn't, because I'm making fun of the situation. It's just really like, this is my response to pain. This is my response to discomfort or awkwardness, right? And so that's something also that makes me beautiful, because I don't let it rip me up and destroy me, but I also can have a sense of humor that this is all impermanent, and this is just a facade, and everything that we're going through is just orchestrated by a higher source, our higher self, the universe, angels, God, whatever you want to name it. So that's a personal thing for me, and everybody has something like that, right? Everybody has something that they're like, it's not always appropriate.
or maybe I am a certain way, and maybe people take me in a totally different way, just like you. Maybe when you say a certain word, you slur it, or you say it weird, or just those little odd, I say quirky things that maybe people find odd, peculiar. Like, what is this person's problem? And those are the tools, those are the gifts, those are the things that really make you stand out apart from someone else. And you get to shine in your own truth, and you get to be that beautiful person, and you don't fret it, you don't get weirded out by yourself, because that's the whole thing. Can you be with yourself? And so I want to speak a little bit towards this happiness card. Because in this ascension, it seems like people are like, I'm not happy anymore. I don't know what's going on with me.
I'm confused. I'm hurt. I'm in pain.
I'm suffering, and I know I'm making myself suffer, but I don't know how to pull away from that. I don't know how to find my happiness right now. And so, this is the time for us to be still in the moment. If you have some times in your life where they feel challenged, sit quietly, just take a couple deep breaths, maybe go outside, take a walk, look at nature, or just sit still and just be an observant of the world. Sometimes just stopping and breathing and calming ourselves, we tend to shift once we get into the body when we're stressed out. You know, I think a lot more of us go into the mind when we're stressed, but if you go into the body, it almost kind of frees you to kind of release that stress and to move through that energy.
Yeah,
so
what
really
did we do
beneficial.
last night, Dawn?
So I was breathing a lot, and I was in a very stressful situation, and Jaelyn and I decided, well, what would be the best thing to counteract this energy? And so we just threw some tunes on and just started dancing.
Yeah, major dance party.
Major dance party for two, you know, early afternoon. What we all need in our lives to do those things when we have challenging moments, and to find those spaces where you can find laughter and happiness and find that joy in your life that you're out there searching for. I mean, I know it sounds silly to hear that we had a dance party in my living room, but we really did. And we smiled and we laughed and we got outside of our mind and we got outside of our thoughts and we took it to a different level. We decided that that wasn't the space that we chose to be in that moment. And so we all have that ability to transform and shift, even in those stressful moments. Sometimes it's letting go is really letting go of the stress. You know, when we start to pull away from what has been bothering us or what we've been overthinking, then we do get an opportunity to shift that if we take the time to move ourselves in that moment.
Yeah, so. And I want to offer something about that too, that I went ahead and said, Dawn, you know, take a video of me dancing to this song and really just let loose. And I put it on my Instagram, and, you know, that's not something that I would necessarily usually do, right? You know, like it was goofy. I didn't look like, you know, perfect. I didn't, you know, I was singing and I was singing off key. And what's beautiful about that is that I let go of the judgments that might have come. And it was dropping into like, man, I feel good right now. And I want to share this. And if this feeling can be permeated through this screen to somebody else, like crack a smile on somebody else's face, like my work is done. And I went after it to say, like, you know, stinky, sweaty, and happy. And that really like creates an opening for somebody else to live authentically and to show themselves up as authentic, especially on social media when, you know, maybe like when we're going through a hard time, maybe we just drop off the map and we're not posting anything. Like it might be months. And you know, people, then you only like post when you feel good, or you only show yourself when you feel good. Well, that's not authentic, because we don't have the ability to always feel good. We don't have the ability to always be in that highest vibrational state, right? So I've like posted myself crying. I've posted myself
being raw, being vulnerable.
Raw.
Yeah.
And you know, there's been times like on these videos where we talk about some really real stuff, and what that does is it creates trust, and creating trust through vulnerability, right? So when you like maybe meet new friends, you move to a new place, you're like, okay, I'm gonna like kind of build this facade about who I am, and then it's almost awkward. You're like, you know, am I going to be liked? Am I going to be accepted? Am I going to be, you know, really seen? Right. Well, no, if you're putting up that facade, nobody likes a mask. Nobody trusts a mask, right? So when you show up authentic as fuck, then you have all your power and you take your power back. So speaking your truth and showing up as you are every single day and understanding like that is where you're at today. Yesterday, I was feeling good. Today, I'm feeling good. The day before that, not so good. But still, I made the effort to reach out. Still, I made the effort to show up authentically, because that is where I was at for the day. So I wanted to pull some cards. This is a Sacred Oracle deck, Sacred Rebels Oracle deck by Alana Fairchild. It's a wonderful deck. And I'd like to pull... Let's do heart, mind, and soul. Okay. Does that resonate with you?
Sounds good.
Cool. Let's go.
Well, I wanted to speak really quick before she pulls a card. as to the fact that even in those good and bad days, you know, try to see the bad days as a good day too. Even though, you know, maybe things didn't go the way that you expected, maybe there was something that didn't get done, you know, don't beat yourself up over it in this energy. You're just going to grow more of that energy. And we want you to be able to be neutral. I've been telling people lately, can you please stay neutral? Because if you do, in the good and the bad situations, you're always going to see things positively. I met a couple years ago that were married for 60 years. And I said, my gosh, like most people don't even live to be 60 years old, let alone be married that long. So I said, so what's the key to that? What is the key to happiness and being in a relationship? And they said, it's being ourselves. It's just being ourselves. And that was the container, they said, that held them all these years and continues to hold them, because they're not trying to put up a facade, because they're not trying to be anybody else but themselves. And they just happened to meet a counterpart that really, really appreciated that in them. And I think a lot of us want that authentic person going into relationships. We want to know that the person that we're dealing with is genuine and is loving and respectful and really being in their truth, in their authentic self. And so, you know, the more you become that, the more you attach to that in others. So I just wanted to put that out there real quick to let you guys know that, like, it's okay. You know, we put up too many fights over too many things in this world. And what if we just put up a fight for happiness and joy every day? I think that would be more of a fight that would be worth fighting for than what we're fighting for. It is. Unconditional love
is the only thing worth fighting for.
Love heals all.
Beautiful.
It mends all.
It's a good transition into our first card for the heart. This is visions of life beyond death. So what this is saying to me is that right now, some part of you has died. Some part of your old patterning is being shed right now, and it's a good thing. And you have to hold on. In your heart, you know that it was not serving you. In your heart, you understand that those patterns, those ways of living were not serving you, and they were not serving the collective. So what you're finally coming into is, in your heart, you know that there's something better for you. You know that there's life beyond death, that there is a rebirth awakening right now. So that's a really beautiful card. We'll try and get it here. Yeah. Okay.
So when we have a death of something, you know, anytime we use the word death, I think people just go, they just cringe, and they don't see the positivity and what that means sometimes. And so I always like to come in and reiterate that death really means a death of something that didn't serve you. It was something that wasn't for you, and that you had to move through that energy in order to see the truth in yourself, your authentic self. And so once that does prevail, which that's why I say the death card cuts the contract, and you get to resolve that energy. So be grateful when you see those death cards. Don't cringe, everybody, because they're really not something that's negative.
That's beautiful. So Dawn, our mind card is free from judgment, free to love.
Yay!
So it kind of falls right in line with what we're talking about here.
Absolutely.
So if you're picking up anything from this, I would love to hear it as well. But I think this is just, you know, you get this opportunity now in your mind to free yourself, to release those conscious and unconscious patternings, those barriers that are keeping you from living authentically, keeping you from loving authentically, because it's all judgment, right? That's why we're not authentic.
Well, if we judge,
judgment.
Well, they're in opposition of each other. You know, if you fear, period, fear and judgment, they lay in bed together. You know, and judgment is the opposite of love. Because if you're judging, you're not loving.
Right.
But if you're loving, you're loving. And so we want to pull ourselves out of the headspace of judging ourselves, judging others, because frankly, it's none of your business what other people think of you. And really, you shouldn't be out there judging other people. You should be doing your own work. And I think that will pull you away from being in a judgmental state of mind and push you into a state of love that is more serving of you.
I love that. Thank you.
Yes.
And what your soul is saying to you now is what is already with you. So this is saying that you have already done the work. Everything that you need is already inside of you. It's already manifested through the fifth dimension, through these planes that we're working with, these energies, that everything you're trying to bring into your life is already within you. It's already been delivered. It's just a matter of you recognizing and understanding that to come from the fifth plane into the third plane, it's a lot denser here. It's a lot slower, right? So it takes time to manifest. But what your soul is saying is, all the gears are turning. Everything is already being created, and it's already in your hands.
Well, and I think coming into a space of acceptance that you have it, because I think that is a positive state of mind to be in, because those thoughts that you're sending out about lack thereof, well, you got to be careful with that stuff, because that will send a message to the universe that you don't have it. What you very well do, sometimes if we don't see it, like, oh, I don't see that I have that job. Well, maybe that job and the universe is like moving things for you to be able to have what you want. And so I think once we move our energy into a state of acceptance, when we move ourselves into a state of letting go and receiving and creating abundance and not going into spaces of lack thereof, or that's never going to be, you don't really know if it's never going to be, because you haven't challenged that idea, or you haven't challenged that energy to show up in your life. So I'm going to put this out here today. Challenge yourself. Challenge yourself to be a better person. See if you can be kind to someone today, maybe say something thoughtful. Maybe the love that you're seeking is the very love that you should be giving out, so that you may receive it as well.
That's beautiful.
So I think that is a healthy thought for today, and I'm so happy to share a lot of this authentic space with you. We are in times where we have the opportunity, we have the choices of free will to change our lives for the better. And if you've had a bad story, or you grew up in a bad upbringing, well, change your story. You have the ability to do that. And you have the ability to do that gracefully. So challenge yourself, try it, go out on a limb, test yourself. See if you can find joy in your life today where you didn't think that you would find it.
That's beautiful. I think that wraps us up really nicely. We'll keep it short and sweet for today. So again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. If this resonated with you, please send a comment. If you think it might resonate with someone you love, please send it their way. We are out here to just spread this knowledge and to encourage everybody to live a more authentic life. So we'll end with a little sound healing with this lovely bowl, and we'll invite you to just receive and watch the sound wash over you. Get your feet on the floor and breathe it all in.
So taking a deep, full, complete breath, close your eyes, go within, find yourself in there, and take this beautiful sound to a different height in your life.
Thank you all so much for joining us today, and namaste.
Namaste.
And you guys like seeing my floundering? Okay.
I guess it wants us to speak a little bit more.
No, but we're complete. All right.